AI can now win a gold medal at the Math Olympiad. 2-sec silence. But it still fails to read an analog clock 50% of the time. Beat. I find this contrast absolutely fascinating. We have built a machine capable of solving Olympic-level theoretical mathematics. Yet, it cannot consistently tell you the time on a wall clock.
It is a profound paradox. We are dealing with an entirely new form of intelligence here. I mean, it does not learn the way human beings learn. The architecture scales brilliantly for complex logic, but it completely fractures on basic physical intuition.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are exploring the rapidly shifting balance of power in artificial intelligence. We are going to look closely at the tools you use every single day. We will explore the massive structural changes happening in corporate software right now. And then we are scaling all the way up to a global geopolitical dead heat.
Yeah, we have a lot of crucial ground to cover today. We are looking at a massive new leak from Anthropic. This development basically threatens to disrupt an entire $6.6 billion industry. We're also going to unpack Microsoft's sudden Code Red panic. We will review some highly capable new tools available to you. And finally, we will examine Stanford's massive 2026 AI Index Report.
Let us start right at the software layer today. We are witnessing a fundamental shift in the AI ecosystem. The creators of the foundational models are starting to claw back power. They are taking it directly from the nimble startups that built on top of them.
To really understand this, we need to look at Lovable. They were the biggest success story of the last 12 months. They hit a staggering $6.6 billion valuation.
Which is wild.
Right. They achieved that by building a beautiful, intuitive layer on top of Claude's API. That specific layer enabled a massive trend we call vibe coding.
Let me define that specific term for you right away. Vibe coding is coding by simply describing what you want in plain English.
Exactly. You do not need to know Python or JavaScript anymore. You just explain your vision, and the software builds the interface. It made building custom software accessible to almost anyone. But Anthropic just signaled a massive change in the weather. They're tired of letting their partners have all the fun.
Yeah, we have seen leaked screenshots showing a massive shift in their strategy. Anthropic is building a native full-stack app builder directly inside Claude. This is no longer just a simple text generator.
Not at all. Until now, Claude could just show you a nice little preview window. You would ask for a website, you get a simple React component. It was visually pleasing, but functionally hollow.
Right.
Now, they're completely changing the underlying architecture. Claude handles the front-end user interface and the complex back-end logic. It sets up your database connections and storage buckets in one seamless motion.
The leak shows dedicated tabs for critical infrastructure right on the dashboard. You have auth and secrets management built right in. Let's explain why that matters to you. Auth isn't just a basic login screen.
No.
It is the complex security required to manage user identities safely. Claude also handles security scanning for your applications automatically. It is clearly designed for robust apps that people actually use.
It features one-click deployment with completely integrated logs and monitoring, too. This effectively turns Claude into a serious, heavyweight rival for platforms like Vercel or Replit.
It appears to be a very strategic marriage of two distinct tools. It combines Claude Artifacts, which expertly handles the visual UI, and it connects that directly to the raw power of Claude Code.
Right. And Claude Code is fundamentally an agentic engine.
Meaning?
AI that can plan and execute tasks on its own.
Honestly, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself when building apps. You start with a clear goal, and the AI slowly loses the plot.
Yeah, we all do.
The idea of an AI reliably managing the entire stack architecture is wild.
It is like a car engine manufacturer making a sudden pivot. Imagine if Ford suddenly decided they didn't just want to sell engines anymore. They decide to build the actual cars themselves. They decide to earn all the local dealerships, and they start running the neighborhood gas stations too. They want to control the entire vertical pipeline, right? And they capture all that lost downstream revenue. If a startup can get a massive valuation just wrapping an API, Anthropic has every financial incentive to reclaim that immense value for themselves.
Makes sense.
The vibe coding crown is moving rapidly back to the original source.
That brings up a really crucial question for the broader industry. Will this completely stifle startup innovation in the AI wrapper space?
Startups will definitely be forced to change their entire approach. Simply building a pretty user interface is no longer a viable defensive moat. They are going to be forced to innovate on unique, proprietary data. They have to solve highly specific, complex workflow problems now.
So startups must innovate beyond just wrapping existing AI APIs. Pete, this aggressive move isn't just threatening smaller startups, though. It is sending massive shockwaves through the biggest tech giants in the
Oh,
world.
absolutely. It is triggering real panic and some very weird new corporate innovations. After these recent moves, Microsoft has officially triggered a Copilot Code Red.
Let's unpack the logic behind that specific corporate panic. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella is personally pushing major system upgrades. He wants to fix glaring performance concerns immediately. They are desperately trying to stay ahead of Anthropic's rapidly expanding capabilities.
You can see the corporate AI arms race everywhere you look right now. Claude now works directly inside Microsoft Word. It does not just write text for you.
Right.
It can edit, analyze, and even answer document comments directly. You can save repeatable writing workflows as reusable custom skills.
Meanwhile, Salesforce is piloting a totally different strategic approach. They want their specific merchants sitting directly inside ChatGPT.
Yeah, early partners for this unique pilot include major brands like Crocs and Passon. The goal is to help their physical products show up in AI search directly. They do not want to rely solely on the traditional Google search index anymore.
AI search is rapidly becoming the new digital storefront.
Exactly.
Then we get to the truly bizarre corporate applications of this technology. Meta is currently building an AI Mark Zuckerberg.
They are meticulously training a digital CEO on his voice and his specific mannerisms. The core idea is that employees can actually talk to him.
Wow.
It is supposed to help remote workers feel more deeply connected to corporate leadership.
I really have to pause and look at the dissonance here. We have the corporate budget to build a digital Zuckerberg for employee morale. Yet the backbone of these complex systems still relies heavily on human labor.
Yeah.
Gig workers at Scale AI are speaking out about their working conditions. They report being paid pennies to label kids' faces all day. They are forced to review explicit audio and deeply disturbing images.
It is a stark observation of the global AI supply chain. The industry still relies heavily on underpaid humans for critical data labeling. The models need human feedback to understand what is safe and what is toxic. It is a massive structural gap between the glossy corporate front end and the human backbone.
It feels incredibly disconnected from the immense wealth being generated. This disconnect is actually creating an entirely new economy in the middle. LinkedIn is currently testing a brand new AI job marketplace.
People can earn up to $150 an hour. They are being paid simply to train and refine chatbots. AI trainers might quickly become one of the hottest new online jobs.
We are also seeing massive strategic moves in physical infrastructure. Rapidus just raised an astonishing $1.7 billion for chip manufacturing.
They are focusing entirely on building 2-nanometer AI chips. The primary goal is to ensure a highly reliable domestic supply chain. Everyone wants independence from foreign technology dependencies right now.
Hardware is just as critical as the software layer. But let's loop back to that Microsoft panic for a second. Why is Microsoft suddenly hitting the Code Red panic button now?
Well, Microsoft's entire empire is built on dominating enterprise software tools. If Claude natively handles the whole stack, Microsoft loses its core developer ecosystem.
They are terrified of Anthropic eating their enterprise software dominance. Beat sponsor.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We've explored how billionaires and gig workers are battling over the underlying infrastructure. But everyday users really just want tools that make their daily lives easier. Yeah, we are seeing that powerful agentic shift trickle down to everyday workflows. Let's look at a few empowered AI tools making serious waves today.
The first one we need to look at is the Crisp Accent Converter. It is a free extension that alters digital audio in real time. You can hear any accented English on YouTube much more clearly.
The underlying mechanism here is actually quite brilliant. It does not just turn up the volume or filter background noise. It dynamically reconstructs the audio waveforms locally on your specific device.
That is fascinating.
It works seamlessly for complex courses, podcasts, interviews, or any streaming video. It is a massive breakthrough for global education and basic accessibility.
The next fascinating tool is called Luma Agents. This one is aimed directly at creative professionals and digital marketers.
It essentially acts as an entire production studio in your browser. It lets you plan, generate, and meticulously iterate in one continuous pipeline. You can manage complex video, high-resolution images, and dynamic audio seamlessly together.
It is absolutely perfect for managing broad brand campaigns or complex social media ads. Then we have Clio Labs tackling a seemingly very boring problem. But it is a problem that costs international businesses millions of dollars. They use AI to automate global compliance for selling physical products.
Think about what it actually takes to ship a physical product globally. You cross one international border, and suddenly you are hit with 100 new safety regulations.
Right.
Those complex regulations change constantly from one specific country to the next. Clio Labs uses agentic AI to read those local laws in real time. It automatically updates your compliance paperwork before the product even hits the customs checkpoint.
Finally, we have a great free diagnostic tool called Skills Janitor. It is basically an automated auditor for your Claude Code habits.
It closely analyzes which AI skills you actually use on a regular basis. It shows you exactly what is fundamentally broken in your daily workflow. It finds overlapping redundant prompts and highlights powerful features you completely ignore.
It is like having a brilliant personal assistant silently clean up your digital workspace. But looking closely at all these highly specific, fragmented tools, do these highly specific, fragmented tools eventually consolidate into one platform?
History shows us that heavy consolidation in tech is practically inevitable. The big foundational models are closely tracking these successful niche features. They will absolutely try to swallow these capabilities into their native platforms.
Eventually, yes, the big players will absorb these niche tools. We have zoomed in on the underlying code and the corporate battles. We have explored the practical consumer tools you can use right now.
Now it is time to zoom all the way out. We need to look at the massive global macro picture shaping your future.
Stanford University just dropped their massive 2026 AI Index Report. It formally confirms that we are officially hitting a jagged frontier.
The term jagged frontier perfectly describes the current strange capability gap. AI is now consistently outperforming humans in PhD-level scientific research. Yet, as you mentioned earlier in the show, it struggles with basic physical context. It still fails to read an analog clock 50% of the time.
The Google Gemini DeepThink model is a perfect example of this. It can easily win a gold medal at the Global Math Olympiad. But the jagged nature of these specific models is highly unpredictable. It fails nearly 1 in 3 basic computer navigation tasks.
It is incredibly computationally capable, yet shockingly brittle at the exact same time.
It is like hiring a brilliant Nobel laureate for your engineering company. But they occasionally forget how to tie their own shoes. 2-sec silence. The Stanford report also gave us a stark look at the global geopolitical race. We are just reporting Stanford's impartial data here without taking any sides. The U.S. technological lead over China has effectively evaporated completely.
Anthropic's top foundational model currently leads China's absolute best model. But the lead is a razor-thin 2.7% margin. That is a statistical dead heat in the fast-paced technology world.
The U.S. still completely dominates in building massive physical data centers, and they lead heavily in private corporate financial investment. They have poured a staggering $285.9 billion into AI.
But China is aggressively leading in several other crucial long-term metrics. They currently lead the world in new AI patents and academic research citations. They're also heavily dominating the physical deployment of industrial robotics.
They are building the actual physical manifestation of artificial intelligence.
Exactly.
Despite the massive financial investment, the U.S. has a critical structural vulnerability. They are facing a severely worsening human talent crisis right now.
The number of top AI researchers moving to the States has absolutely plummeted. We have seen an 89% drop since 2017.
And the short-term data trend is actually looking much worse. There was an 80% drop in just the last year alone. Beat. We also need to critically examine the growing global trust gap. Stanford's massive data on global public perception is really revealing.
Only 31% of Americans currently trust their government to regulate AI. That is currently the absolute lowest level of public trust globally.
Meanwhile, the European Union has emerged with a very different public reputation. The EU is currently the most trusted entity for effective regulatory oversight.
It is fascinating to see how different global regions view the fundamental safety of this technology. But regardless of varying public trust, the adoption speed is simply staggering. Generative AI officially reached 53% global population adoption. It achieved that incredible milestone in just 3 short years.
Which is completely unheard of.
Whoa! Imagine 53% of the global population adopting a tech in just 3 years. That scale is unprecedented.
The U.S. consumer economic value of these tools is absolutely massive. It is currently estimated at $172 billion annually.
We've never seen a new technology integrate into daily human life this quickly. Not the advent of the internet, not mobile smartphones. Absolutely nothing compares to this speed.
Let me ask you about the implications of that severe talent drain data. Can the U.S. maintain its technological edge with this severe talent drain?
Massive capital and sprawling data centers are incredibly important structural advantages. But eventually, you need elite human brains pushing the actual algorithmic boundaries. If top global researchers stop immigrating, the domestic innovation curve will eventually flatten.
Without foreign researchers, the U.S. relies purely on compute power. Beat. We have covered a massive amount of complex ground today. Let's pull all these diverse threads together for you.
We are clearly living on a very jagged technological frontier right now. The underlying technology is immensely capable, but it remains surprisingly brittle.
The corporate software war is officially hitting a code red panic level. The nimble startup landscape is being rapidly swallowed by the massive API providers, and the global geopolitical race is demonstrably tighter than it has ever been.
It leaves us with a really provocative philosophical question for you to consider. Think about AI successfully handling all the basic scaffolding of our digital lives. It writes the complex full-stack code and completely automates global regulatory compliance.
Right.
It even accurately mimics our corporate CEOs for remote town halls. If a machine does all the heavy digital lifting, what actually changes? What becomes the new, uniquely human-defining skill in this new world? What exactly happens to human intuition when the daily cognitive struggle is permanently removed?
That is something incredibly profound to seriously mull over this week. We invite you to pay close attention to your own daily workflows. Watch out for those jagged, unpredictable interactions with AI in your own life. Notice exactly where it acts like a profound genius and where it bizarrely stumbles. Thank you for joining our deep dive today. OTRO Music.